A lovely good afternoon. Time now for the midday news on Camnet TV. Let's look at the headlines. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI claims to be the chosen one to economically liberate Zambia. President Hakainde Hichilema accused of over-politicizing the civil service. In our international headlines, China reports almost 60,000 COVID-related deaths in the past month. In sports, Chelsea signed Ukrainian forward from Shakhtar Donetsk. We have the details shortly.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chol. We're from Chos Fitness Gym. We're a fully functional gym located along Twin Palm Road in Kablonga, right by Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia. So we have various classes that happen from Monday to Friday. We have aerobics, we have boot camp, we have step aerobics, we have spinning, we have kettlebell classes. They happen from 18 to 19 hours every day, and we are open from 06 until 20 hours. That's Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays 6 to 12, and then Sundays we are closed. And most public holidays we are open 6 to 12.
On Monday, 16th January 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest Ngande Mwanajiti, the human rights defender, lawyer, and activist. As they discuss the role of civil society in governance.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages.
On DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for tuning in to present the news. My name is Louisiana Lupumbwe. A security guard of Muntandavantu compound in Lusaka's Kanyama constituency has threatened to sue a named witch doctor on account that he obtained money from him by false pretense. In an interview with Camnet News, the complainant, Indala Simvola, says he approached the witch doctor to help him find a cure for epilepsy, which his two children are suffering from. However, no assistance was rendered despite paying 1,700 kwacha. We have details in this report.
After paying 1,700 kwacha to a witch doctor in order to find a lasting solution to his two children's condition, this man of Lusaka's Mutandabantu compound in Kanyama constituency is now demanding for a refund after the named witch doctor allegedly failed to perform. Indala Simvola, a security guard who resorted to seek a witch doctor's assistance instead of rushing to the hospital, says he regrets ever taking such a step as no help was rendered to him. According to the complainant, he decided to visit the named witch doctor in Lusaka upon hearing the said traditional healer on radio and hoped to get answers on why his children had such a condition. His two named children have epilepsy, a common condition that affects the brain and causes frequent seizures.
Yendo wafika kuja ananiuza ati gogo mamena mabwela kuyanga na pamila. So kuyanga na pamila first kulembesa ni 200 na choza 200 na lipia. After uchoza 200 na lipia na ningenesa mkati mofesi. Aniuza ati kuyanga na pamila ni 500 na choza 500 na lipia. After kulipira 500 aniuza ati yende kunyumba wakatenge doti yapa nyumba ulete kuno tugwele tukupangile woni maprogramu amena wagwelela kuno nagwelela na kutenga doti yapa nyumba nopeleka sabuta napeleka kuja anapanga wamene zozivira aniitana anipasa mila nyangane pamila nangana pamila kulipeza mene nao na pamila.
All he wants is a refund and has threatened to allegedly sue the said traditional healer.
Ananiuza ati ukabwele pachani pamande naendako kuende kufika kujaji drama ukabwele pasande mama naendela kule lero pasande kuende kufika kuja ine adiuza ati nasiyembekeza ni drama kubangi kuende utenga drama kubangi ine kuyembekeza abula na polisi wapa chiruru polisi wamile wabula kumitenga kunipeleka ku polisi wende ofika kuja ku polisi alembe sa statement wamile cha uru after alembe sa statement kuja naine na alembe sa statement kulembe sa statement wa polisi wakambati isenganya amene mwalaita kuno abanganga ise wa polisi kipingena so iwo amene watengelewa ndrama uende ku koti wala kutangiza wa koti.
Upon hearing his side, Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights decided to call the alleged accused and hear his defense as well before the institution could try and reconcile the two parties.
Kuliko complaint against him, complaint chokera kuri ba indala bamwe munatandizira bamwe mwe kufunika utandizira but tandizwa tswana ipeze munatenga ndrama yokwa na 1700 then lero atumawapeleka ku garden police then ndrama mukana kubabwezera Okay, chabwino munga kwanise kuti tibwere mvere mbali yanu mailo 9 hours kwa kanyama ku human rights.
The complainant has since been referred to court, hoping that the local court will consider his plea and have his money refunded. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Patriotic Front's aspiring president, CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI, has charged that he is a better placed to take over the leadership of the former ruling party because he has good plans to make Zambia a better country. Mr. KAMBWILI says given an opportunity to govern the country, he would industrialize Zambia and stop the dependence on foreign direct investments. He claims that his performance when he served as a parliamentarian and minister speaks for itself, as he demonstrated to be a man of action. Mr. KAMBWILI tells Camnet News that Zambians will regret having wasted time before voting for him.
I've been on the political scene for a long time, and my performance in government at parliamentary level can attest to the fact that I believe in action, and everything I touch moves in the positive. And I think I care for the poor, and I have a plan to revive this country economically and otherwise, to industrialize this country and create the much needed jobs. I have a plan of how to raise money for the government to create its own industries, not depending on direct foreign investment. So, given an opportunity to preside over the affairs of this nation, people will say,
Opposition political parties have charged that a number of engineers at the state power utility ZESC were fired since the United Party for National Development took over office in 2021, thus contributing to the ongoing electricity crisis in the country. National Democratic Congress leader Savoy Imboila regrets that positions in the civil service have been politicized, thus undermining delivery of development. Meanwhile, Patriotic Front Deputy Media Director Edwin Lifwekelo has urged the current government to desist from blaming its social and economic misfortunes on the former ruling party. Details are in this report.
As various perspectives continue to emerge on the energy crisis the country is facing that has seen the enforcement of a 12 hours load management schedule, government critics have challenged the UPND administration to be truthful and prioritize Zambians in terms of access to electricity. For now, it is obvious that the 12 hours of load shedding has had a negative impact on small and medium enterprises, and President Hakainde Hichilema's administration has indicated that it will continue to prescribe short and long-term measures to mitigate the problem that has partly been attributed to the low water levels at the Kariba North Bank power station. National Democratic Congress NDC President Savoy Imbwela believes that the power crisis Zambia is experiencing is owing to the move by the UPND government to fire competent engineers at the state power utility. She alleges that most of the people at ZESCO and other institutions in the energy sector are incompetent, hence the lapses are being exhibited through the mismanagement of the power sector, adding that the trend is the same in other sectors of the economy.
It is a fact that when the UPND formed government, they did fire a lot of professionals. So I find that in most of these ministries, we've got people that are not competent. People are facing that and they're able to experience that when it comes to load shedding, because this is in their homes. When they are load shedded, everybody feels it from their homes, from their businesses. So it's very clear like that. But the truth of the matter is that in most of these ministries, that is what has happened. And that is why for me, I always say that let's separate administration from politics. If somebody is competent, let them do that. That is why we need a professional civil service. There are people, or rather there are offices which are constitutional, let's say maybe the PSAs and all these the commissioners and everything. Those ones you can let them have these appointments from the president. But the civil service has to be professional. People have to rise through the ranks to get to various positions, not whereby directors, you politicize the level of a director and you fire people.
Meanwhile, Patriotic Front PF Deputy Media Director Edwin Rifekelo has advised the UPND government against attributing challenges in the energy sector to the former ruling party.
So government must be sincere. I like what Honorable Nkombo has said, if it's been quoted correctly, that this blame game of this PF, let it come to an end. PF is no longer in government. There's UPND, those are the ones that are in government, they're in the driving seat. We did our part, we played our part. Now it's for the UPND to take the mantle and add value to the welfare of the Zambian people. The idea of saying PF will never end. It's like someone bringing a new wife and then you are saying, I think the reason why I don't have money is because of the previous wife who was here. That's a story which is long gone, it's been buried, and then you have to start on a new slot. So our advice to UPND is that stop being cry babies. You said you would do better than PF have played their role, they are no longer there. Now show the leadership.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
3 people have been arrested in Kabwe on allegations that they were tampering on flowers and palm trees planted at the roundabout where the infamous Kenneth Kaunda statue is mounted. The 3 suspects have been identified as Nelson Miti, 28, of High Ridge, Mwanza Mukanzo, 16, of Obama in Lusaka, and Christopher Mokosha, 26, of Chibombo District. Now, according to the Kabwe Mayor, Mr. Patrick Chishala, the trio was arrested by council police after a tip-off from the general public who spotted them at the infamous roundabout plucking of flowers and palm trees.
3 people have been arrested in Kabwe for tampering with the infamous KK statue and the flowers around the roundabout where the statue is mounted. According to Kabwe Mayor Mr. Patrick Chala, the trio were arrested by council police after a tip-off from members of the general public who spotted them at the infamous roundabout. The trio were partially detained in one of the holding rooms at the civic center and were later on led to the roundabout by the mayor and some council police officers. The 3 have been identified as Nelson Miti, 28, of High Ridge, Mwanza Mukanzo, 16, of Obama in Lusaka, and Christopher Mokosha, 26, of Chibombo District. According to Mr. Chala, the trio were this morning around 07 hours spotted plucking of flowers and palm trees planted at the roundabout. The mayor was visibly charged and almost manhandled the trio.
Why? Why? Tell me you are here now. Why you are happy now? Eat this. You want to eat these flowers. Eat them. Deal with me. Deal with me. Not the flowers. Deal with Patrick. I'm here now. Deal with me. Huh? Deal with me. Not
Osanifwemba lonifwemba. Awawe. Imwe. Na mwana wanga huyu hapa zone osanifwemba nsenza ziyendera.
Where's the other one?
The three suspects were taken to Central Police, where another confusion ensued among the police officers on the basis of how the case should be handled. This was after one of the police officers in plain clothes, only identified as Sergeant Tembo from another station, a relative to one of the suspects, ordered the arresting officer that his nephew be issued with a medical form on allegations that he was equally assaulted by the mayor. The two police officers exchanged bitter words in the full view of the mayor, whom later was equally caught up in the fracas, denouncing him as a less educated person. Petronella Msangulule, Camnet TV News, in Kabwe, Central Province.
The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, has urged the UPND administration to invest heavily in communication so that citizens can appreciate what the government is doing in facilitating development in various sectors of the economy. Addressing the media on various issues affecting the education sector, the NUPEZ president, Victor Muyumba, says the UPND administration needs to communicate to citizens on how various policies are being enforced. He adds that the lack of communication by the government is causing dissatisfaction among the people. More in this report.
Almost a year plus in government, the United Party for National Development has continued to work on its toes and ensure that it is on top of achieving each and every campaign promise it made to citizens. Many have continued condemning the current administration and accusing it of failing to fulfill its promise, a condemnation that has commenced before even its 5 years mandate ends. However, some, like the National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, are of the view that the current administration has been able to do more in the 1 year plus in office. However, it has not heavily invested in communication, thereby leaving some stakeholders with a view that nothing much has been done. Sunday morning, NUPEZ President Victor Muyumba called on government to communicate to citizens on works done and future plans. Mr. Muyumba touched on this when he addressed the media on various issues affecting the education sector.
As a union, we don't play politics here, but we do advise. And we hope the UPND government will invest heavily in communication to the people out there, in terms of where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going. Because right now, there's a lot of dissatisfaction. People feel there isn't much information reaching them, or nothing is happening. There are a number of good things we have seen ourselves. For example, remittances to social security institutions, such as NAPSA, are now timely. Even remittances to banks, from which institutions our members borrow, are timely now, which is very good. But this information is not going out there. It's not being made public.
Meanwhile, NUPEZ has called on the Ministry of Education to actualize the implementation of the 2 career pathways.
So in as much as we commend government, we are also saying God has gifted us differently. What I'm good at may not be what my friend is good at. While some may be good on the academic path, others may be good on the vocational path. But our education system is biased towards the academic path. And because it's biased towards the academic path, we are going to wrongly judge those that are gifted at the vocational path. Therefore, we call on the authorities that this reintroduction of the cutoff point is supposed to be married together with the implementation of the 2-tier education system.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In our international news, thousands of soldiers and supporters of the Polisario Front, the Western Sahara's pro-independence movement, met on Thursday at the Dakhla refugee camp in the Tindouf region of Algeria to hold the start of a party conference. Now, the gathering will seek to discuss party policy and strategy in its struggle against Morocco, which has controlled most of Western Sahara since moving in 1975 after the withdrawal of Spanish colonists. The Polisario Movement's 16th Congress will also see a leadership election and runs until 17th January. Meanwhile, the Chinese government says 60,000 people with COVID-19 died in hospitals since it abandoned its strict pandemic policy last month. It is a sharp increase from previously reported figures, but scientists say the true tally is likely to be higher. For these and other stories, here is a roundup of international news.
The Polisario Movement's 16th Congress, the Western Sahara's pro-independence movement, is set for a leadership election this Tuesday. Since Thursday, thousands of soldiers and supporters gathered at the Dakhla refugee camp in the Tindouf region of Algeria to hold the party conference. The gathering is discussing party policy and strategy in its struggle against Morocco, which has controlled most of Western Sahara since moving in 1975. Continued armed combat after the occupier Morocco broke the ceasefire on 13 November 2020 has put the Western Sahara issue back onto the international stage. The UN Security Council has called for a revival of negotiations on the disputed territory and has expressed deep concern at the breakdown of the 1991 ceasefire between Morocco and Polisario. But the long-running dispute shows no sign of ending. The solution to the issue of Western Sahara is known. It has always been and has been since the 1970s. Respect international law and legitimacy. That is what the Sahrawi people and the Polisario Front have fought for. In fact, nothing has changed, except that the Polisario Front was forced to resume armed combat since the UN failed to enforce international law and impose legitimacy for Western Sahara. Through the Congress, the leadership of the Polisario Front is looking to maintain support within the party for its position that only a military approach can win independence for Western Sahara.
Almost 60,000 people have died from COVID-19 in China in the past 5 weeks. That's according to new data released on Saturday. It's a huge increase from previous figures, and health officials say the elderly have been hit the hardest.
Severely ill patients are mainly elderly people, with the oldest being 105, the average age 75.5, and those aged 60 and above, accounting for 89.6% of the cases. It's also common for them to have a variety of underlying diseases.
The World Health Organization and several countries have accused China of underrepresenting the scale of the outbreak. Early last month, Beijing abruptly lifted its zero-COVID policy after almost 3 years. Hospitals nationwide were overwhelmed and medical staff under enormous pressure, including American doctor Howard Bernstein.
Everything was just completely clogged up. You know, the emergency room was full, every bed was full, the waiting room was full, waiting in to get to the emergency room, the fever clinic was full, and then all the ICU and the hospital beds were taken.
Previously, only people who died from coronavirus-induced respiratory failure were included in the official death toll. Now, those who died of the virus, in combination with other illnesses, are being counted.
The government says the number of people being treated in fever clinics like these peaked in late December, but that number has now declined by about 80%.
Dr. Bernstein says his hospital is no longer crowded, but the outbreak is far from over.
There was a sort of shocking amount of illness and degree of illness, and now we're dealing with a different COVID phenomena, which I'm identifying as the people who are ill in December who have still do not feel like they've recovered.
Millions of Chinese are traveling from cities to remote regions in the lead-up to the Lunar New Year, movement that's expected to cause a surge in infections. Authorities are focusing on improving medical facilities and access to medicines in rural areas. International health experts have welcomed the new data, but as the figures only include those who died in hospital, they say the true death toll could be much higher. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Time now for sports news. Chelsea have completed the signing of Ukrainian forward Mikhailo Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk. The 22-year-old arrives at Stamford Bridge on an 8.5-year deal for a fee of 70 million euros plus a further 30 million euros in bonuses. Chelsea beat Premier League rivals Arsenal to the signing of Mudryk, who scored 7 goals in 12 league appearances for Shakhtar this season. Mudryk is at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea's Premier League fixture against Crystal Palace on Sunday afternoon. He had looked to set to sign for Arsenal, but Shakhtar confirmed club president met with Chelsea co-owner Vedad Egbali on Saturday to discuss the player's move to West London. On that sporting item, we wrap up the media news, but let's look at the headlines that made the news. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI claims to be the chosen one to economically liberate Zambia. President Hakainde Hichilema accused of over-politicizing the civil service. China reports almost 60,000 COVID-related deaths in past month. Chelsea sign Ukrainian forward from Shakhtar Donetsk. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Louisiana Lupumbwe. Good afternoon.